Welcome to Overwatch, and welcome to episode 2 of Easy to Learn. By far the most requested topic since the first episode went out was breaking down how to classify various heroes, and how to take that knowledge and translate it into intelligent hero picks. This guide is not going to tell you what to pick in every situation, that would be impossible, and I'm not so arrogant to claim I have all the right answers. Instead, it'll help in structuring how you think about various heroes, when you want to pick them, how they fit together on a team, and how to approach building a full team comp. Before we begin, I want to thank everyone for their feedback. I've tweaked how I script the episode out to allow for more visual information time on screen, and I'll try to speak a little bit slower. When examining the heroes, you'll see that there are 4 categories assigned to them by Blizzard: Assault, Defense, Tank, and Support. These are broad strokes and don't help too much on the specifics. For example, for most of the pre-beta wait time, Hanzo was classified as Assault rather than Defense, and you might be hard-pressed to fully describe why Junkrat is more Defense than Assault, considering he can break apart defensive hardpoints like turrets and clumped people. What I do personally is basically assign keywords to each hero, which lets me figure out what my team has as a whole and where I can shore up any key weaknesses. Let's take Tracer, as she's the face of the game. Tracer is a low hit point evasive hero that can do moderate damage. She's reliant on dodging hits and using recall to get out of scrapes. She can disengage from undesired fights and often benefits from running and re-engaging somewhere else rather than hoping to duel certain heroes in certain areas. Even though she's Assault, she really doesn't want to be bashing down the front door, or trying to hold it. If you're on defense and have, say, 2 Tracers, you'll probably find you have no front line, no position you can really hold down as the enemy team just blasts through you. This is because Tracer is what I term backline harass, a flanker, and wants to pick off lone targets, an assassin. You know you're doing your job as Tracer when 2 or 3 of the enemy team are constantly peeling off the objective to try and futilely hunt you down. Now let's contrast this to Soldier 76. I made a point in the general Overwatch concepts video to say that he's a good all-rounder, and, well, he is. That's his thing. Soldier 76 excels on the front line, and thanks to his biotic field, is strong at mid-range and goes toe-to-toe with just about anyone. I class him as a front-line, healing, and objective-oriented character. He does well stood on a payload or holding down a specific location. So now let's look at the 2 of them. Even though they're both offensive heroes, they're unique tools and separate from each other. Tracer wants to be behind enemy lines while Soldier 76 wants to be going toe-to-toe right at the front. This is why I think keywords are such a good way of considering these heroes. When in-game, you look at your team, consider your problem, maybe you've no front line for example, and then find a solution. Let's get Soldier 76 out to add some power to that frontline fight. Rather than go through every single hero one by one, there's 21 of the damn things, I'll pick out some of the less obvious heroes to classify. That being said, I've also built an infographic that should be in the description. This isn't a simple flowchart, but it will hopefully help build that knowledge when you're wondering who to pick and when. I'll also build this specific knowledge into each of the hero-specific guides I'm working on. The first one I want to talk about is Genji. Everybody loves playing Genji. In the 12 months leading up to the beta, the #1 question was simply, when is the Cyborg Ninja going to come out, or the popular variant, what do you think his kit will be? But understand that Genji isn't a good choice on every single team. He's similar to Tracer, he's backline harass and an assassin, who wants to try and get rid of the enemy support or deal high damage to lone targets before escaping. Unlike Tracer, his ultimate gives him the potential to sweep up injured teams, while Tracer's is better off picking off tanks at targets of interest. Genji is a little more vulnerable than Tracer and has a harder time disengaging, but you'd pick either one at a similar time. Again, note that Genji isn't great for defending. I've only seen him really be highly impactful regularly on point B, where the run from the attacking team is longer and he can find isolated targets. If you're using him to try and control a choke point, however, well, you probably have a better time with McCree, Soldier 76, Junkrat, Farah, the list goes on.
Found the teleporter.
Next up, let's handle the controversial new tank, Diva. First things first, Diva is an unconventional tank. I've started to use the term heavy assault to get a better feel. She can negate huge amounts of damage with her defense matrix, but you have to be good and quick to do it, and honestly, she's at her best when not on the front line. Diva's secret is that she can win almost any fight when she's right in anyone's face, and she can always get there. Diva serves as a great secondary tank, especially if you have Zarya helping hold the front. Putting a barrier onto Diva works wonders, and is especially good against teams that don't want to group heavily. If you're seeing a lot of Widowmakers, Hanzos, Tracers and the like, fly right into them as Diva and shoot them into ribbons. She's also incredibly good at creating space with her ultimate. Taking a capture point with it is as simple as dropping the bomb and can almost guarantee a payload a few extra meters. For fiddly supports, Zenyatta is an interesting beast. We'll start with keywords. He's a commander, in that he can enable specific people to do specific things at specific times by giving them additional health, as well as denoting priority targets with his Orb of Discord. And of course, he's a healer. He's also something of a backliner, not surprising being support, but he has deadly accuracy and combined with Orb of Discord can cut through most targets. Playing Pharah against the skilled Zenyatta is a thing of raw frustration. You jump up, he discords you and proceeds to shoot you down. Use Zenyatta if you have assassins on your team and help them do their job. Harmony on Reaper before he goes into the back of an enemy team makes Death Blossom that much more deadly. To round out, we'll talk about the fiddliest of defensive heroes, Hanzo. Oh, Hanzo. Difficult to master and get effective use out of, Hanzo is a flexible pick that can do two things well: precision damage and creating space. Hanzo can effectively take out any target assuming he can land his hits and skills, and Sonic Arrow is invaluable if used correctly. That being said, he's easy to flank and has what I'll generously term unpredictable damage. He's also easy to overwhelm if he's the sole frontline source of damage, but offers great supporting damage. A Hanzo behind Reinhardt isn't scary, but if he's there with Soldier 76, he's much more threatening. If the map allows it, Hanzo getting onto the flanks and high ground makes him that much more effective at assassination. But don't expect him to be serving as direct backline harass like Tracer, Genji and Reaper can. He just doesn't have any people outright. It can shatter any clumping the enemy team try tight or rely on a bastion for their defense.
Never second best. Marked by the dragon.
At the end of the day, you can use the keywords that I've made and the handy graphic that I've made alongside the video, or you can come up with some of your own. By doing this, you'll have a framework that'll help you pick the right hero for the right job, and that's a key skill in Overwatch. The game gives you 30 seconds before you load into the map to decide on your team, so I'll take this time to mention that team composition in pub games is honestly the main reason why I've seen teams win or lose, and it's the easiest thing to fix. To put it bluntly, you cannot stop a bad player from being bad at that moment, but you can change their hero to one to better suit the environment. I'll also throw out a few general courtesies. If someone else picked it first, they get first dibs. It's the fairest way to handle things. Nothing worse than having two people who want to play Tracer on defense and are both being stubborn about it. The second guy to pick made the conscious decision to sink the team in favor of their own fun, and that, friends, is being an arsehole. Also note that a million things can go into picking your hero: what map you're on, the enemy team comp, how skilled the people you're playing with are, what your aim is like that day, and of course your own personal preferences. In general, the first thing I look at is how our front line looks. Can the team actually just stand and fight the enemy team? If we've got Reinhardt, Zarya, Soldier 76 and Lucio, I think we're pretty good. If the first picks are Diva, Hanzo, Symmetra and Tracer, suddenly I'm a bit worried about our team, especially if we're on defense. In a case like that, I'd be leaning towards Soldier 76 or Zarya, shoring up that front line while also lending aid to the flanking pieces, and hope that the final pick can help hold a choke point. Even on offense, if everyone is playing heroes that require special positioning, the enemy team will almost naturally start clumping out of sheer survival and denying that vulnerability. At the end of the day, you're better off with a well-rounded team that can do a bit of everything. It's important to note that in public games, most team compositions will work. 1 tank, 1 support and 4 damage sources can be just as viable as 2 tanks, 2 supports and 2 damage sources. In general, I recommend a 2-1-3 split, with either 2 tanks and 1 support, or 2 supports and 1 tank, although the sole tank should probably be Reinhardt or Zarya. The reason why I shy away from 2-2-2 layouts in pub games is it requires your damage dealers to be very effective, and with almost no guarantee of that skill level, I prefer the safety net of additional damage. More important than team composition, I think, is identifying when your team comp might be wrong. The surest sign I found of this is when the game feels frustrating. The team is scattered, people are dying all over, and you never seem to be making any progress. This is usually a sign that your team is fighting itself more than the enemy. This can happen often, for example on the second point on Hanamura. Half the team goes over the balcony route, 1 or 2 at the front door, and a third looking for an opening around the other side, and you're hammering into a team that can just clump on the point and weather the storm. I've seen countless Lucios and Zenyatas complain about not grouping on that map when the team is more favoured to a spread out attack, or a Reinhardt constantly not having anyone to protect, where a Diva or Winston might be more useful. When your team does seem to be struggling, the next step is to find where. First step should always be to ask if it's you. Check your current contribution. For example, if you're Assault, check your elimination and how the game feels. If you're a tank, are you actually tanking for anyone, and so on. I say do this first because identifying that you could be doing something else and changing it going to get more results than who the fuck picks Reinhardt, you inbred shitlord. Also remember that the people who aren't switching may know just as well as you do. At the end of the day, it's a 10-minute round. Overwatch's hero swapping takes some getting used to. During the beta, one interesting tidbit was how people really struggled with the notion, but over time people have steadily gotten better at it. I will personally admit to frequently sticking on one hero slightly longer than I need to, and if you take away one thing from this video, it's to occasionally hold tab and check if you can change, and to give heroes keywords to better label them. That's 2 things. Checking if you need to change, use keywords, and monitor your own performance carefully. Damn, wait, thanks for watching to the end. I've been one channel amongst many, and I hope you've learned something about hero picking and team comps. If you enjoyed the video, do the usual YouTube stuff of hitting like. If you want more, hit sub. It all helps the channel. And once again, thank you for the feedback on the last video, guys. Hopefully this one is better as a result. Keep that up and we'll make some great content together. Toodles.